Having a productive and inspiring workspace isn't suddenly going to make a lazy person productive. Having a clean and productive workspace is simply going to make good work great work and ensure that you're excited to sit down and go to work every single day. Having a space that inspires me every single time I sit down and start a project is something I've always wanted to achieve. A space that encourages me to work even when the work I'm doing isn't exactly what I want to be doing in that moment is something I've always wanted to achieve and something that I encourage all creators to look into creating for themselves. As a freelance filmmaker and content creator, my days are equally split between shooting these videos, editing videos, handling clients, editing photos, and script writing for my own YouTube videos. So I needed a space that was going to accommodate for all of those things. So I encourage everyone watching this that if you are in a position where you can upgrade your setup, do so in a way that is optimized for what you need, both from a productivity standpoint and also from a personal stylistic standpoint. But if you aren't in a position to upgrade just yet, like so many of us have been, don't worry about it. Find ways to be productive with what you already have available to you right now and begin to implement some of the productivity principles that I'll be talking about in this video. If you can believe it, my first 12 months of running my freelance videography business, which is what I still do right now, everything from editing my videos, handling clients, writing invoices, writing quotes, literally everything involved in the business was done from my parents' kitchen table, which is in a household with 4 other siblings, 2 parents and a pet, and all done from my 2014 MacBook Pro. And up until about 2 weeks ago when I got this monitor, I had done all of my work exclusively from a laptop. So you need to keep in mind that productivity is so much more to do with the work that you're actually doing and your enjoyment doing that work than it is about the space that you're working in. So keep that in mind when you watch this video. This is the first time that I spent any substantial amount of money on my own space, on a dedicated area for me to work. So this feeling is amazing. I would encourage all of you, if you can in any way, shape or form, even if you have to use hand-me-down items, you have to use a desk that is already at your house, or you just have to spend the next 6 months saving up. If you are working from home or you do any sort of work where it involves a space at home, or you're just a creative who's trying to get into working from home, I would encourage all of you to do what you can to begin to develop out a space that's dedicated to you. For me, making work as effortless and accessible as possible has always been my main priority. Finding a space where I can get lost in my work for hours at a time without the influence of things that are going to pull me away from what I'm doing in that very moment. For me, that's simply having everything I need in one place, easy to access and unrestricted. If I have to stop to find something, reposition something, or reposition myself, that's pulling me out of the work that I'm doing in that moment and keeping me out of periods of deep work. There were a couple of considerations I needed to make before setting up this space. Number one is the fact that I rent on a short-term lease, so 0 permanent changes can be made to this space. It all had to be self-contained and a space that can be easily moved and not going to damage the area that I'm in. On a short-term lease, in a rental apartment, there's no way that I can be painting walls, drilling holes in walls, or doing any sort of extreme wire management processes that are going to damage the area that I'm in. So it needs to be completely self-contained. Number 2 is the fact that I share this apartment with my girlfriend, and the apartment is a studio apartment with a loft. So the space that I was going to build not only needed to be productive, but it needed to be a space that matched in with the environment, considering it takes up about 1/5 of the total space in this apartment. Number 3 is the fact that I plan on fully customizing my desktop when I have a more permanent space. So the standing desk I purchase has to be capable of having the desktop replaced. And number 4, I live in Australia. So the majority of the companies like Office that provide beautiful, well-built sit-stand desks and desktop options do not ship to Australia. And the market for sit-stand desks here is extremely limited to cheap drop shipping options. So I will not be including the name of the company I use for the desk, as I do not recommend them. If I had access to Office, I would use them, and if not, find something that works best for you. For my desk, I wanted something that was capable of being used in a standing position and a seated position. I've spent the majority of this year working with a tabletop standing desk extension, which is fantastic for the price, but does not allow me to work in a seated position without removing it from the desk entirely, which is a huge hassle. My experience with standing desks has been fantastic, and I cannot recommend them more. However, for periods of prolonged creativity, like photo editing or script writing, I found it extremely difficult to reach levels of deep work, as the focus on standing was taking some of the attention away from my work. So I needed something that could be used in a standing position for the parts of my day spent answering emails or writing quotes and invoices, and used in the seated position while I edit images, videos, or write script. So far, this setup has been amazing. I purchased an electronic sit-stand desk. I got the walnut tabletop finish with the black legs, which matched the overall aesthetic of my apartment and the style I was going for. The only downside so far is the slight wobble you get whilst typing in the fully standard position, but this could be fixed with a slightly heavier tabletop or wall or floor mounted monitors, which I plan on doing in the future. I'll have a few links to examples down below, but like I said, the company I used is a terrible option and I do not recommend them unless you are like me and plan on fully customizing the table in the future. For my monitor, I went with a 32-inch 4K curved ultra-wide display from Samsung. This is the first time using a curved display for me, and I have to admit it's been a game changer. You really do feel like you're surrounded by your work, and it's really helped keep me focused. For my keyboard, I went for the Apple Magic Keyboard in Space Gray, as I'm a huge Apple fanboy, and unlike a lot of people, I actually really love the low distance design of their keyboards. And for my mouse, I went for the Apple Magic Trackpad, as I love the intuitive feeling that comes with using a trackpad and haven't been able to find that same feeling with a mouse. I'm also left-handed, but use my trackpad with my right, so the combo of tablet and trackpad simultaneously has been amazing for me for photo editing. My monitor is sitting on a Kensington monitor stand that I purchased from Officeworks. I wanted this to raise my monitor up high enough that I'm always looking straight ahead rather than slightly down to keep my neck in a better position. It also acts as a storage section for my 2019 MacBook Pro that is powering this whole setup. A few months back, when deciding between the MacBook Pro or the iMac Pro, I decided to get something that was powerful enough to run a home editing station, but whilst traveling and moving around didn't leave me feeling like I was missing out because my laptop was less powerful. So I went with the MacBook Pro. I upgraded it with 32GB of RAM, the new i9 processor, and the Radeon Pro Vega graphics card with 1TB SSD internal storage. And yes, that really hurt my bank account. Keeping my phones fully charged is the Google Pixel wireless charging dock. I use this for both my Google Pixel and my iPhone XS Max. This is a great option for those of you looking to get a wireless charging option. My chair is one I purchased from Temple & Webster and matches the desk nicely with the walnut finish and black seating. Because this chair was going to be used in our studio, it needed to be something functional and comfortable without screaming office chair, and I think the option works perfectly. As for storage, I still use my lacy rugged drives to store and back up all my footage, but now that I have this setup completed, I will be purchasing a G-RAID system to store and back up all my footage and keep it all in one place. Also on my desks are these LifeX globes. Rgb Lights seem to be the staple for desk setups on YouTube, but beyond the good looks, I find these lights are amazing for making the space feel a little more lively, as well as the ability to change colours. For Georgie and I, whenever I go through periods of early morning work or late night work, not keeping her awake has been a struggle. But a little bonus tip, red light is the best light for not waking people up or not keeping people awake. So switching the light over to red either late at night or early in the morning has been the most useful function for me so far. You can also program this automatically to switch over at certain times. It all functions through the app, which I found is extremely easy to use, but it can also be linked to any of your home devices as well as Siri to use on the go. And lastly, I haven't gone super crazy on the cable management just yet. As I said, this space will most likely be moved a few more times before getting to a permanent location. But for now, I have these little adhesive rubber grips that I got from a local store, keeping my cables as close to the bottom of the desk as possible. Nothing crazy, but it does keep the space looking a little bit neater. And that's my setup. Still plenty that could be customized, and I will most likely be making a follow-up to this video when I move into a more permanent position, but for now, it's perfect for what I need. Like I said in the beginning, a productive workspace isn't going to magically make you a productivity machine. It'll simply make a lazy person a little closer to broke with a nice desk setup. So focus on finding what helps with your own productivity and then build out your space around that. So yeah, that was my desk setup. If I've mentioned anything in this video that you guys particularly like or anything that you're interested in purchasing, all the links to everything I've mentioned will be in the description below. And if you have enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. But as always, it's entirely up to you, and I'll see you guys next time.